While removing the plastic wrap from a pallet of 5-gallon cans of highly flammable acetone, someone realized they didn't have a box cutter. Instead, they decided to melt the plastic using a lighter. I once grabbed an intern's arm just before he attempted to handle a zero-gauge electrical wire, a large cable supplying power to an entire building, with his bare hands to move it aside and show us an issue behind it. The wire was live and hot. He argued it was safe because he planned to touch only one wire at a time. The lead electrician politely insisted the intern be removed from his site before he turned himself into a pile of ashes and a load of paperwork. I fully supported this and assigned the intern to watch OSHA training videos non-stop for nearly 3 days as a consequence. Nearly leaving a child behind during a field trip. We took a group of 4- and 5-year-olds to a farm, petting zoo and pumpkin patch. With 3 vehicles transporting everyone, I managed my group. But I noticed another teacher was very inattentive throughout the trip. When it was time to leave, I loaded my kids onto the bus and conducted a head count with help from other adults. Before boarding my own bus, I saw that the other teacher had already climbed onto hers and sat down, waiting for the children to follow her. She seemed uninterested in supervising the boarding process. Something didn't feel right, so I went to double-check her bus. She seemed annoyed when she noticed me checking and said, "We're all good, let's go." Instead of responding, I counted her students. Sure enough, one was missing. I left the bus, searched the area, and found the child still on the playground with kids from another school. When I brought the child back, the teacher blamed him for wandering off, though she was the one who left the area without ensuring everyone was present. She wasn't happy when I reported the incident to administration. I worked on a golf course one summer in an area full of poison ivy. 2 co-workers were tasked with trimming vegetation along a riverbank. If poison ivy was found, protocol required stopping or wearing full protective suits with respirators. However, these 2 geniuses were weed-whacking through the densest patch of poison ivy I'd ever seen without any protection. No suits, goggles, or respirators. I arrived, saw what they were doing, and warned them they were aerosolizing the poison ivy's oils. Both ended up hospitalized and put on steroids to prevent potentially fatal reactions from inhaling the oils. Once we accidentally brought the wrong coffin to a funeral. Someone had to rush the correct one to the cemetery, managing to arrive just before the viewing. My wife worked at a gas station where a long-time employee refilled napkins dispensers by stuffing napkins through the front slot, one by one. She walked up, opened the back of the dispenser, and showed him how it is designed to be refilled. He was shocked, having never considered there could be an easier way. At a Petco, the guinea pigs were housed in a large plexiglass enclosure divided into male and female sections. An employee decided that long-haired guinea pigs should be on one side and short-haired ones on the other. The sorting process took ages, and by the end, all the females were pregnant. At a machine shop where I worked, an employee used an overhead crane with two hooks, one raised near the ceiling and the other lowered by someone else's machine. The operator focused only on the hook by the roof and began moving the crane. Wearing earmuffs in the noisy shop, he didn't hear us yelling as the lower hook nearly injured several people. The hook narrowly missed throwing one worker into a lathe, damaged another's toolboard, and continued erratically bouncing along the line of machines. Finally, it grabbed an A-frame holding 30-40 tons of steel and began lifting it. Someone managed to reach the controls and stop him. That incident marked his last day on the job. Someone mistakenly poured sink cleaning solution into the ice cream machine instead of the cream mixture. I stopped them and they brushed it off, saying, "It's just a little, it'll be fine." It wasn't fine. It could have poisoned people. I had to disassemble the machine, clean it thoroughly, and throw out a large bucket of contaminated ice cream mix. To make matters worse, the containers weren't even similar. The cleaning solution came in large plastic jugs with screw tops, while the cream mixture was packaged in cardboard cartons, similar to juice containers, requiring them to be cut open. How they confused the two remains a mystery. I once worked in an open-plan office with a small kitchen area at one end. It included a microwave, kettle, sink, toaster, and water cooler. One day, we noticed a manager fiddling with the toaster, seemingly trying to clean it. She never thought to remove the crumb tray, and instead poked around inside it with a knife, while it was still plugged in. Everyone just sat back, watching and wondering how long it would take before she electrocuted herself. Then she turned on the faucet and started lifting the toaster toward the sink. At that point, someone intervened to stop her. You might dismiss this as simple cluelessness, but she was the building's health and safety officer. I hired a new employee on a Friday and gave him directions to the job site for Monday morning. He showed up early and ended up helping a group of thieves load all the building materials onto their truck and drive away. The security footage even showed him stopping traffic to let them leave. A coworker once landed a plane at the very edge of the runway, right at the starting edge. The rough landing cracked one of the landing gear legs and bent a turbine blade in one engine. Instead of logging the incident or notifying anyone, the scatterbrained fool simply parked the plane and walked away. The next crew didn't notice the damage since it wasn't immediately visible. They took off and experienced a series of strange issues with the port engine. When they turned back, they discovered the landing gear wouldn't lock. Luckily, they managed to land safely without any injuries or fatalities. Despite this, we only fired the guy. No reports to regulators, no criminal complaints about his actions. In hindsight, I should have reported him myself instead of leaving it up to management.